This shows the drill rod. This is that highway guardrail I'm using for a rod guide. This is that bridge steel. This shows the drill rod right here, going down through the drill head, going down in the ground, all the way down in here. And right there, I'm 350 foot underground, I'm drilling. Focused here. This is one of our jaw crushers. It's a large mobile jaw crusher on a semi-type trailer. And it's got an apron type feeder. You throw large 3-ton rocks in here and they go through this jaw crusher and come out the bottom, go into another jaw crusher, into a rod mill, into a ball mill, and it would grind the rocks down from a 3-foot diameter all the way down to powder. And then you can separate the gold from it. At this point, I'm running this drill rig with air motors. Now, I'm using my 750 cubic foot a minute air compressor to run it. But I'm having a problem when I get down in the harder rock close to the vein that the drill just barely wants to turn. It doesn't have enough power. This is my first core sample. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. As they're 10 feet long, that's 90 feet of core samples there. You can see I'm getting 100% core recovery. There's one little spot here that's got some broken rock. But in the blue granite, I get 100% core recovery. But I'm having trouble where I think the vein is. I'm not getting the core samples to come out. I can't read the depths. This is the depths I have written on here, how deep I was with those particular core samples. Now I packaged those, this is hole number 7 already. Now I packaged the cores up in boxes like this. Then I wrapped them up in cardboard and then with plastic and then with furnace tape, and they're completely sealed in. And I ship them freight collect to Sparks, Nevada, the Home State Mining Company. They pay for the freight on the other end. They pay for all the assays, and they send all the data back for me. This is all free. They pay for everything. They've been very supportive of our operation. I have drilled 17 holes to date with that drill rig. So I decided, since I didn't have enough power, that I was going to have to convert that drill rig from air operated to a hydrostatic drive like a cement truck has got. And so I didn't have any money left at that time, so I traded Calton & Dick, that Gallagher pump that I paid $2,500 for. I traded that pump back to them for this 353 Detroit diesel engine. Now this engine was completely rebuilt by them. When they rebuilt it, they didn't just do valve jobs. They didn't just grind the valves. They put brand new valves in, brand new pistons, brand new connecting rods, brand new rings, bearings. Everything is brand new in this motor. And they wanted this for themselves. They had saved it for themselves for several years, and they agreed to sell it to me. Well, actually trade it to me. They gave me this engine in exchange for this pump that I gave back to them. It was $2,500 exchange. So I started mounting this engine on this frame. It just came as a bare engine. And then of course I had to put a plate up here and all kinds of things on it to make it work. This is the hydraulic oil reservoir from a cement mixer. Now this is the trailer I was living in. I had another trailer towed down from Wisconsin because this one was just too small for us. We're living in another trailer. Now this is still full up with core samples and rocks and all kinds of stuff. It's our storage trailer right now. This is the little electrical shed over here. There's the completed power plant. Now I've got a radiator on there from a large semi-tractor. There's the hydraulic reservoir from a cement mixer. And there's a hydraulic motor, a Sunstrand hydraulic pump down here. And then there's a Sunstrand hydraulic motor that runs the drill itself. Now this is some processing equipment that I purchased from a bankrupt mining company 3 miles from our mine. Now these people were working on a vein that they thought was a vein, but it wasn't. It was just kind of a fizzle. They didn't have any gold. They had a little gold here, a little gold there, but nothing mineable. And they borrowed a lot of money from the county. They borrowed $540,000 from the county and went bankrupt. And so I purchased all of their processing equipment. This says Otto Porter on here. That's Bill Porter in Minneapolis, Minnesota owned that. And he owned this, and Bill Stevens owned some sieve bins over here. But I purchased all of this equipment for a penny on the dollar. This ball mill, they paid $25,000 for it. It's operational. They paid $25,000, I paid $200 for it. It's still got their gold in it. It's still got their material in it. If they had any gold, it's in that ball mill. Because George Harris told me that he had a gold mine in Alaska, and he said his last shipment of gold was 25 pounds of gold. And he said that's when they closed down the mine and they cleaned out their ball mill. Because when you put gold through a ball mill, it flattens out and it works itself behind the plates and gets stuck behind the plates. So it's conceivable that this ball mill might have a lot of gold in it, if that mining company had any gold to lose. This is another ball mill I bought from them. Well, that's the end of my slideshow. Let me shut this off here. Now I get used to the light here. I told you that I was core drilling and I drilled 17 holes. Now I should have gotten my 4 core samples in those 17 holes. And I tried and I tried, but I didn't get a sample of that vein, and I couldn't understand why. And I kept asking Julius, how come I'm not getting a sample of the vein? We both know it's there, and we both know there's gold in the veins. Now, what we had done several years back that I didn't show in the slideshow is we had Camp Will Drilling come in, and we had Camp drill vertical holes, 6 of them across the property, all the way across this vein. And we had them drill down through the vein. And I had a man called Mike Mankey, who was a mining consultant and mining engineer from Deadwood, South Dakota. I was here on a consultant basis, and he was going to take samples. So we drilled these 6-inch water well type holes down through the dirt, through the blue granite, and I would keep grabbing samples of the mush and wash it until I saw that we were going through quartz. Knowing that we were in the vein, I'd say, Mike, we're in the vein now. He'd shove a 5-gallon bucket up against that drill pipe. Now that gold in that drill hole is 5 times heavier than anything in that drill hole. So it didn't come out of this drill hole. It stayed in the bottom. All that gold is still in that drill hole right today. But what little bit of that gold just happened to come up, caught in the mud or something, come up and jumped into this 5-gallon bucket, went to the bottom of this 5-gallon bucket. Because it was all mush. It was just like quicksand. And that gold was being heavier than anything in it, just zoomed right to the bottom of that bucket. Now Mike went along and he reached about a third of the way down in that bucket and he grabbed a handful of this mush and he put it in a baggie, sealed it and labeled it, took it back to Deadwood, or shipped it back to himself in Deadwood, South Dakota. And he assayed every one of them holes. And he was amazed or shocked. He said, Wally, he said, there's gold in every one of them holes across that entire property. I said, well, of course there is. That's why I'm here. He said, well, the samples were so dilute, he says, it's ridiculous. There shouldn't have been any gold in the samples because all the gold should still be in those drill holes. He said, one of them drill holes assayed out at 1 ounce per ton. Now we're looking for a 1/4 ounce per ton to prove to Home State Mining Company that there's $500 million worth of gold in this vein going down 2 miles deep for them to come in. And we've already proved there's 1 ounce per ton in one hole with a very dilute sample. And we've already proved there's gold across the whole vein. So it's not that I'm trying to show myself that there's gold in these veins. I'm trying to get core samples to show Home State Mining Company what I already know. And so I drilled these 17 holes, and I couldn't get a sample of the vein. And I finally found out in this last hole, my drill rod is still in the hole, 350 feet deep, that my drill rod, which I'm drilling a 60-degree angle hole this way to try and hit this vein that's on an angle this way. Because the geologist at Home State Mining Company said the vein is on an angle like this. He said if you drill straight down, he said when your drill rod hits that vein, it's going to bend and it's going to follow that vein. It won't break through it. He said you have to drill on a 60-degree angle in order to break through that vein. So this is what I did. So, but when I was drilling, I knew I was having some problems down in the hole. I told my wife I wish I knew where my